Imagine someone so creepy, so chaotic, and so hard to kill that even after being poisoned, shot, beaten, and drowned, he still wouldn't freaking die. This is the true chaotic and unhinged story of Grigori Rasputin. And yes, he really was that dramatic. But it's okay, because on this channel, we love historical drama queens and divas. So, let's dive in, shall we? Have you heard this song before? Rah, rah, Rasputin, hey. Oh, come on. I know you've heard this song somewhere. It's catchy, right? I love it. Ugh, if you haven't heard this song before, it's about Rasputin, so you should definitely go check it out. Anyways, I always get distracted. Let's get into the story, shall we? Rah, rah, Rasputin. Oh, come on. Ugh. Have you ever heard of someone who was just born weird? Like from the get-go, like you pop out of your mom and people just start thinking you're weird. Have you ever met someone like that? No? Well, Grigori Yefimovich Rasputin wasn't just quirky. Rasputin was the type of kid that villagers would whisper about after church and try to avoid him after sundown. Yeah. He was a sketchy kid, a sketchy child, yeah. He was like the kid that every parent warns their own children not to be around. You know, Matilda, I better not catch you around Rasputin. I better not. I wonder if he was that bad. You know, like was he that bad? Oh my God. Rasputin was born in 1869 in a little forgotten village in Siberia. The village was called Pokrovskoye. I don't know, that sounded like I said it right? I don't know. Pokrovskoye, this small Siberian town, was the type of place that was so remote, so far deep there, that it made exile feel like a vacation. Like it was that remote. So our friend Rasputin here, he entered the world surrounded by poverty, superstition, and a lot of snowstorms. His family, like, you know, his mom, his dad, they were peasants. And because of that, illiteracy, as in not knowing how to read or write, was normal. And unfortunately, baths, you know, with water and soap and a loofah, yeah, that was optional. You know, it wasn't mandatory. It's like, if you can, but if you can't, okay. Religion, though. Oh yeah, that was mandatory. Absolutely, you can't miss church. From a young age, people in the town swore up and down that Rasputin could see things that they couldn't. It is said that Rasputin would stare through people as if he was looking into their soul. Ooh, I've had someone do that to me once and it was very, very uncomfy. It was like, please stop, please. What are you doing? It's very like unsettling. It's an unsettling, uncomfy, creepy feeling. But anyways, apparently that's what Rasputin was doing. And not only was he staring at people like he could see their souls, he would also mutter things that no child should know. Like he wasn't acting like a normal child, if you know what I mean. Like he was just acting very weird. He was weird. And not only that, but apparently our friend Rasputin here healed a horse by just touching it. I know, crazy. Now, is this true? Maybe not, who knows? I wasn't there. But what I do know is that this is where his story began. A weird little boy with hypnotic eyes and a disturbing calmness when in pain. Now, with all the miracles that Rasputin was performing around and just being weird, he wasn't exactly holy yet. He had a long way to go. And when I say a long way, I mean long. Because in his teens, he was a nasty little menace. He got into drunken fights. He would chase women. It is said that he was actually arrested twice for stealing horses. And he earned a reputation for petty crime. And somehow, he still walked free. I feel like that's a theme with Rasputin. Like, it doesn't matter what he did, it never stuck. Like, he was just bad overall. A problem. Yeah. Around age 28, Rasputin abandoned his wife and his kids. Yes, he was married and had kids. Someone married him. So Rasputin left his wife and his children and set out on a pilgrimage that changed everything. And I know you might be thinking, oh, a pilgrimage, like eat, love, pray, right? No, no. It was more like crawl, fast, bleed. Yeah, it was rough. I mean, he wandered for months, even years, barefoot across Russia, sleeping in caves, absolutely refusing to take a shower or bathe, and just wandering around in the world of mysticism. It is said that along the way, he allegedly joined a heretical group, and they were called the Keelists. This group specifically was known for extreme acts of punishment, like self punishment, like beat yourself, like just punish yourself. They were also known for doing group frenzies and just a lot of ecstatic worship. Now, some accounts say that Rasputin never joined this group, but others swear he was even the spiritual leader. I guess we'll never know. The one thing that is absolutely undeniable is that Rasputin came back from that pilgrimage as a changed man. In a good or bad way? We're about to find out. Apparently, our friend Rasputin here was glowing with charisma, and he was also claiming to have visions from God. By the year 1903, Rasputin started attracting noble attention in St. Petersburg. The people in St. Petersburg were just fascinated by this filthy peasant that had a stare that could make you forget your own name. They were like, who is this? Who is this man? What is he doing here? And Rasputin, oh, he knew how to play the part. I mean, he would speak as if he was channeling the divine. He would touch people as if he was healing something broken deep down inside. And at that time, he gave the upper class people something they so desperately desired: a direct line to spiritual power. Unpolished, raw, and uncomfortably real. That was Rasputin. Yep. And just like that, Rasputin the outlaw became Rasputin the holy man. And that could have been good enough, but Rasputin had other plans. He wasn't done climbing yet. Not even close. So let's talk about how a peasant who looked like he just crawled out of a haunted house somewhere became the spiritual puppet master of the Russian throne. So let me set the scene, right? It's 1905. Russia is a mess. There's war, there's unrest, there's poverty, there's starvation. Like, it's all bad. It's a mess. And the royal family, which at this time were the Romanovs. Do you know the Romanovs? Yes. At this time, they were just looking for anything that resembled hope. I feel like he was less of a miracle worker and more like a con artist with a PhD in vibes. He really had vibes. It's the vibes that did all the work, honestly. I don't know if it was the confidence or just the vibes that he gave off that made people believe him. I just don't. You know what? Let me keep going. Rasputin gets introduced to Tsar Nicholas II and his wife, Empress Alexandra. And he was introduced to them by, other nobles that knew about Rasputin, that were kind of scared of him a little bit, But the thing is, they were also fascinated by him. It was like I don't know. It's like, I'm scared of you, but at the same time, you're intriguing. Like, I want to know more. But stay over there, though. Of course, Tsar Nicholas and his wife were also intrigued by him. Rasputin had this thing, like this charisma or just this vibe, this aura that was creepy and unsettling, but at the same time made you want to get to know him or just trust him in some way. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Let me keep going. So here's the real problem. The son of the emperor and the empress, Alexei, was actually sick. He was the heir to the Romanov throne, but he had hemophilia, which is a blood disorder that could kill you just from having a small bruise or a small cut that easily. And at that time, Alexei was not doing good at all. It looked like the disease kept getting worse. And then when Rasputin laid his hands on Alexei, he started getting better out of nowhere. Like just laying his hands on him. Like what? Doctors were baffled, speechless, shocked. And the Empress Alexandra, oh, she was convinced Rasputin was sent by God. Tsar Nicholas, on the other hand, he was a bit skeptical. He was like, I mean, yeah, thanks for healing my son, but you're still weird. I don't know. But, a man who has a dying son doesn't really question miracles. Like at that point, you just want your son or your child to be okay. So you don't have time to even, be questioning like, oh, like it doesn't matter. Your son is healed. This person can heal your son. That's all you care about. Just like that, Rasputin slid into power like a snake in a velvet robe. He became the royal family's closest advisor, their late night counselor, their holy hotline. He basically became their everything. And the Russian public, oh, they hated him so much. And for them, what they were seeing is a scuffy peasant telling the empress what to do while the whole empire is burning. The gossip was insane. Clergy and just, leaders of the church, they thought he was a demon in monk robes. And other nobles even called him a charlatan. But it didn't matter. None of it mattered because Rasputin had his claws deep in the Romanovs. One of the things that I find really funny or like interesting is that, yes, people hated Rasputin, but the whole time he was actually preaching about love and forgiveness, and he was so against war. People still hated him. I don't think he was a bad person, but he was definitely taking advantage of, what was being given to him. To me, it's just crazy because, all of these people are over here hating him and wanting him gone and wanting him dead, but it's like he's just out here, chilling and preaching about love and forgiveness and, being nice to one another, and he literally hated war. He wasn't bothering anybody, He was just chilling and being himself and, just preaching about love and peace and all that. Nothing says spiritual advisor like being banned from the church, chased by mobs, and being drunk at 2 a.m. But that was Rasputin, that was his life. So by this time, Rasputin isn't just influencing the Romanovs. At this point, he's basically running the court from behind the velvet curtains. The empress clung to every word he said. The emperor was too busy, trying to hold everything together, and Rasputin was just walking around like a rock star with a crucifix. So what exactly was making the public and, other people, other nobles, hate Rasputin so much? Let me tell you about these juicy, scandalous rumors. Rumor number 1, which was probably the most popular rumor of all. Rasputin was accused of sleeping with noble women, nuns, and basically half of the court. Oh, and let's not forget, he actually got accused of sleeping with the empress, like the actual empress, which, first of all, there's no proof. And then second of all, it's like, I don't think that even happened because Empress Alexandra loved her husband. They were in love. People were also saying that he was taking bribes from, other politicians that were trying to gain influence. And then another rumor is that he was showing up to meetings completely drunk, like literally out of it. And he had food caught in his beard, and he would just start muttering and talking about predictions and, just saying random things as if it was the gospel. Some accounts even said that Rasputin would use his unwashed body as proof of his holiness. Ew. So basically, because he smelled awful, it meant he wasn't vain. Like he wasn't into all the luxury and stuff because he smelled bad. Oh my God. I think one thing that the Russian elite did not realize is that the more they hated this man, the deeper his grip and his claws were getting, because now Empress Alexandra thought that he was the only person that could protect her family. Mind you, while all of this is happening in the Russian palace, World War I is happening. Like, it's literally happening. People are starving, people are dying, and Rasputin is over here dancing barefoot and blessing women with holy water, which may or may not have been vodka. And that was the beginning of the end. I mean, the nobles realized that if they didn't get rid of Rasputin, the empire would fall. And so they started planning. How can we get rid of this crazy man? Apparently, it took one poisoned cake, 2 bullets, and a drowning, and the man still got up. Listen, I know it sounds crazy, but this is how it went down, okay? So it's the year 1916, right? The Russian Empire is going crazy. People are angry, they're hungry, soldiers are dying. The emperor and the empress are not doing their job, and they're just over here listening to Rasputin, and the aristocrats and everybody else are done. Okay? They're done. So enter stage left Prince Felix Yusupov. He was a very wealthy man who was known to be a bit unstable, but he was definitely fed up. He was fed up with everything that was going on, right? He was done. Right beside him was Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich. Okay, they were both fed up. Them and a couple of co-conspirators, right? So together, they hatched a plan to get rid of this man, to get rid of Rasputin. So this is how the plan went. They invited Rasputin to Yusupov's palace under the pretense of him meeting Felix's wife, right? Stay with me. But allegedly, or apparently, the wife wasn't even home, right? Okay, let's keep going. So apparently, while he's there visiting, they served him cakes and wines that were laced with cyanide. And if you know cyanide is dangerous. Cyanide can kill you, will kill you. So they're just there, they serve Rasputin the cakes and the wine. They're like, eat, eat, whatever. And they're just watching. They're like, okay, now's the time. And then Rasputin starts eating and drinking the wine and eating. And they're just there like, anytime now. And he just keeps eating and eating until he's done eating and nothing. He doesn't die. And they're just looking at each other like, did you put the cyanide in there? What's going on? Why is he not dead? Like, he just ate his food like nothing, and nothing happened to him. Maybe the poison didn't work, or maybe someone forgot to put the poison in there, but he didn't die. He didn't even burp. They start freaking out, and they start thinking, okay, it didn't work. He's alive. What are we going to do next? So in a panic state, Felix grabs a gun, a revolver, and he shoots Rasputin on the chest. It's like, poof. And Rasputin, he collapses, and they're just like, oh, okay, phew, that was a close one. And everybody's cheering. They're like, yay, we did it. He's finally dead. And, they turn around and they go grab their coats. And then at that time, Rasputin opens his eyes. He opens his eyes, he gets up, and he lunges at Felix, screaming that he's going to tell everything to the empress. So hearing this and just like seeing a man that's supposed to be dead lunging at you and telling you, I'm gonna tell the empress everything, he panicked again. And he was like, oh, hell nah. So he shoots him again, and this man is still going. So they're like, oh yeah, this is not gonna work. This is not gonna work out. So they decided to beat him with a dumbbell. So you can already imagine, they're beating this guy and he's not dying. I would have been freaked out. I'll be like, listen, man, I'm good. Like, y'all got this, but I'm gonna hit the door, because after everything we've done and this man is still alive, yeah, I'm not gonna play with that. So after that, I guess they got tired, or they were just like, you know what, man, I don't know. They grabbed him and they threw him in the frozen Neva River. And that was that, man. Like, they just threw him, and they're like, listen, man, he better not pop out. It looks like throwing him in the river actually did the trick. When Rasputin's corpse was recovered, it was said there was water in his lungs, as in he died drowning, which means, listen carefully, okay? It means that when he was thrown in the river, he was still alive. I mean, this man was shot, poisoned, beaten, drowned, and he still found a way to die on his own terms. You go. You go. Don't let them kill you how they want to kill you. You die how you want to die. Now, Rasputin's death didn't somehow fix the empire's problem and then turn everything back to normal. No, instead, when people discovered that he died, his death sent shockwaves throughout the empire. And instead of stabilizing Russia, his death became the spark that led to the downfall of the Romanovs. For some reason, a lot of people thought that Rasputin was really the problem. They thought, once he's dead, phew, no more drama, we're good. In the year 1917, barely months after Rasputin's death, the Russian Empire was gone. Food shortages, military disasters, and public fury pushed the Tsar Nicholas II to abdicate power. The Romanovs were exiled to Siberia and guarded like criminals. Everything was falling apart. Something that I forgot to mention is that when all of this was going on and the hatred for Rasputin and people planning to kill him, he actually predicted something. I'm not sure if he physically, like in person, said it to Tsar Nicholas II or if he wrote it in a letter and sent it to him. But this is what he said. If I am killed by common man, you and your children will rule in Russia for centuries to come. But if I am killed by nobles, the dynasty will fall within 2 years. He said that before he died. And it literally happened exactly how he said it would. Can you imagine? And guess what? He was killed by nobles. They were scared that, his power, Rasputin's power, was getting too big and he was just becoming way too influential. They got scared and they decided to kill him. And as it said in his letter, if he is killed by nobles, in 2 years, the dynasty will fall. And that's exactly what happened. He was killed by nobles, and 15 months later, hell broke loose. Fast forward to July 17th, 1918, in a grim, quiet basement in Yekaterinburg, the entire Romanov family, Tsar Nicholas, his wife, their 5 children, their loyal staff, they were all executed by the Bolsheviks. Yes, they all died together. No one survived. Now, I think one really sad detail that I'm gonna mention is that the princesses actually wore their jewelries in their corsets. And so whenever they were getting shot, the jewelry and the diamonds that were in their corsets acted as, a bulletproof armor for the princesses. And so that forced the executioners to use bayonets. I mean, it was brutal, it was bloody, and it was eerily accurate to what Rasputin said would happen. It kind of felt like he cursed them in some kind of way, right? I mean, he was long dead, but it's as if he was never gone, like he was still there. Rasputin's name was banned under the Soviets. His name was too dangerous to remember and impossible to forget. The story of Rasputin morphed into a legend/myth. Was he a demon? Was he a misunderstood mystic? Was he a prophet that saw the end before it came? Despite not having an official title, Rasputin was indeed the most famous man in Russia during the last days of the empire, and he achieved all that without a crown, without an army, just with an unshakable charisma, manipulation, and a terrifying sense of destiny. They called him mad, they called him holy, but most importantly, they called him hard to kill. Rasputin has been dead for over a century, but somehow he is more famous now than ever. Why? So here lies Rasputin, mystic, menace, and maybe the only man in history that needed to be murdered in 4 different ways. He was a peasant who hunted a palace, a so-called healer. Whew. I was starting to feel like that grandma on SpongeBob. The one in the wheelchair? Yeah. Ugh. And yet, somehow, still ends up on your TikTok For You page with a viral song named after him. Here's the real question. What if Rasputin wasn't the disease? What if he was just the symptom of something much darker, something that was rotting in the heart of the Russian Empire? What do you think? Drop your conspiracy theories below, your favorite Rasputin rumor, or just the most unhinged detail you learned today. And if you have something more to add, a detail, or just something that I forgot to mention, drop it down below in the comments, because if history teaches us anything, it's that the truth is always weirder than the myth. Anyways, my history friends, this is the end of this video. Thank you so much for staying with me and learning about Rasputin. I want to wish you a wonderful weekend. Please, please, please be safe, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye!